right, very special DeStasapod today. We have the one and only Bill Oakley, who is probably, let's say, the world's most famous comedy writer, responsible for
I'm
the
excited to
best,
hear that.
the best era of The Simpsons ever, and also, more importantly, which we're going to dig into in a little bit, Mission Hill, extremely crucial show to my development, and also newly toy designer Bill Oakley. And we're going to dig into all this and more, and snacks. I really want to get some of your recommendations. But if we can, I'd like to start at Mission Hill because it sort of hit me right time, right place. And more than any other show, that was responsible for me deciding to go to school and get a degree in animation. And I have you here today to ask, can I have a refund for that education?
I'm sorry, it's long past the expiration date for the refunds to be
Okay.
applied for, so I can't give you one. If it'd be like 7 years ago, yes, definitely. Anyway, so yes, thank you. I'm glad. You know what? When people like Mission Hill, it is always so gratifying because it wasn't Matt Groening's creation, we get there's no money, but we do enjoy getting the credit for Mission Hill because it was truly a labor of love, a truly a misguided labor of love too, where we naively thought that thing would work on broadcast television, and I can't believe we convinced so many people to go along with us and broadcast it for 3 episodes until it was finally picked up, I guess, by Adult Swim, where they ran the same 13 episodes over for 5 years in a row.
Yeah. It was interesting because I hadn't seen the life I was living on a day to day basis as just being like 18, 19 years old, flat broke, living in a tiny apartment. I hadn't seen that sort of portrayed. I grew up and, I related to Bart Simpson because I was about the same age when that debuted on TV. And then here I am kind of with the sort of struggle that is your 20s, just figuring out what you're supposed to be doing in your life. And I could watch on Adult Swim, characters that like I was surrounded by in real life, and the sort of
Uh,
degenerate nature of your early 20s, your pre-career period of your life.
uh-huh. You're right. Yeah, I mean that was the intent. The intent was to when we created Mission Hill, it was actually a reaction to the fact that on The Simpsons there were no characters other than Otto. There are no characters between the ages of like 12 and 30, and so you can't. And so we created a show that was mostly characters between 12 and 30, and the two most prominent ones being the early 20s Andy and the high school aged Kevin.
Yeah. Well, I think it really did. You know, for the people that were sort of there at the time, I think it meant a lot to them. Are there any sort of updates on the spinoff that you've been shopping around?
We haven't been shopping it around yet. It's taking forever. It literally has taken almost 2 years so far, and we haven't shopped it around yet. It took about a year and a half to do the paperwork with Warner Brothers, and we are now in the. I would say we're 90% ready to go out and pitch it. Also, they have a process there that you got to take. Warner Brothers has a process, and so we have to kind of the pitch has to be a certain way, has to look a certain way. We have to have a certain amount of graphic material to go with it. So we're working on that. But honestly, I've said this 1,000 times. I think we're going to start pitching this within about 6 weeks.
Excellent.
And I hope one of
Well,
the places responds. It's a difficult it's difficult to sell a TV show. People think there's 1,000 places to sell TV shows. Yes, but there's also 10 million people trying to sell them TV shows. So it's not any easier to get a show on air than it ever has been.
I understand. Well, I think Russian television is looking for some new pickups. They seem to be spending a lot of money in new content development. So,
Hey man, they should give me
yeah,
a call then. Just look me up on Twitter. If they can afford the budget for this thing, then I'm happy to broadcast it on Russian television.
they could slot you right next to Jesse Ventura. It'd be perfect.
It would go right down the
Um,
tubes like it did in 1999.
okay, so that's sort of Mission Hill. Sneaker Sniffer, you are officially a toy designer. You had a successful Kickstarter. Um, so I guess welcome to the esteemed club of just flushing tens of thousands of dollars down the toilet. Um, were there any toys from your childhood that sort of sparked creativity for you, or that you still possess, or any fond memories?
I do. I have one right here somewhere. I have, oh yes, the part of the whole reason of this, I have a lot of these, like, I guess this thing is in the audio, right? So I can't show you, but I have a fair number of these figures that are like old Hanna-Barbera
Hmm.
figures, like the guys from Wacky, I have them right here, like Wacky Races. I got Huckleberry Hound, I got Wally Gator, and I also have a Fruit Brute, which was my favorite cereal character from the 70s. And so, like, yes, I love those things. I don't have a huge number, but the ones I do, I love, and I love them as a kid. I love being able to have a 3D object of a character that you like. It's very satisfying to hold it in your hand. And the idea just occurred to me, what if I made fake ones? Why do they all have to be real characters? What if we made fake funny ones? And that was honestly the whole genesis of this whole thing.
That's excellent. Yeah, and I think it's kind of it goes deeper for humanity, right? Because like they've excavated all these Roman statues carved of like the popular gladiators that were fighting at the day. Like there's something ingrained in us as a species that like we need a totem of the things we sort of watch or consume or like.
Absolutely. I bet you there's probably medical research on this or doctoral theses about this topic, because there is something very different about a 3D object, bringing a 3D object into real life. And I think it's actually also the way, if you've working with someone on Zoom for this whole pandemic, and you meet them in real life, it's shocking to
Yeah.
see them in 3D.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to when we can sort of have a 3D printer going concurrently with Zoom calls, so that you're seeing somebody being sort of printed layer by layer and talking. Um,
Wow, that
I
sounds
may want to.
expensive, but I like it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to cut that and trademark that before we air that segment, because I think
Okay.
there's something there. Um, Part of the reason I reached out to you was because I thought you did something truly brave on your Instagram, which was I should back up. Your new calling in life is being the Gordon Ramsay of fast food and traveling around the world, solving food related crimes, taste testing, making recommendations. And I saw that you were brave enough to stand up and do things that nobody else was willing to do, which is say that certain vegan food is terrible, specifically nugs, the sort of chicken nugget replacement. I've amongst my circle of friends, there is a sort of like religious devotion to uh, vegan replacements and heavily processed sort of fake meats. And I eat a lot of that stuff and I like a lot of that stuff, but it is not the second coming that I think, people of that persuasion believe it to be. And so I was very refreshed to see you said it, I'm paraphrasing, but tasted like cardboard or some kind of
Yeah.
processed paper product.
Well, I did get a lot of responses to that one, that where people said those do suck. Vegans themselves said those do suck, and recommended a number of other brands that were far superior. And I actually have some in my freezer right now that I intend to try later this week, because I am interested in this. And obviously, like, I don't know, every time I feel like this is, oh, well, these are far more sustainable than meat, it turns out they actually use 25,000 gallons of water a piece or
Yeah.
whatever, and they're actually far more dangerous to the environment. So I always have to take that with a grain of salt. But I do think that we shouldn't rely so much on meat if they can figure out how to not make it far more damaging to the environment than just cattle ranching. So yes, I don't have anything against vegan chicken or Beyond Meat or any of that stuff. I'm honestly just out for what tastes best.
Yeah, gotcha. I do, I'm interested also in how that problem gets fixed. I tend to lean towards regenerative farming, where they sort of rotate crops, and
Hmm.
people, when they can, sort of buying locally from smaller farms. But obviously, the U.S. has a lot of food deserts. There's any
Yeah.
number of problems, and that's kind of a bummer to talk about. So we'll move on.
Okay.
And I guess the sort of headliner here, the reason why I had you on, was to get a handful of your healthiest but most delicious snack recommendations. And I want to give you some parameters, because I have an incredibly arduous diet, and it takes me forever to speak to a waitress and outline everything. So I wanted to give you three sort of parameters, and it's a bit of a Venn diagram. You can have some
Hmm.
overlap. Some of these will not have all these these qualities. But to me, a healthy snack is sort of three things: it's low or no sugar, it's gluten free, and it's dairy free. And that probably
Mm.
cuts a huge chunk of the snacks you would recommend off the list right away. But I'm curious if you've come across ones that, kind of slot into two or more of those spaces.
Well, I can tell you right off the top of my head. I don't know. I actually don't know which items are gluten free and which are not because I never pay attention to that. But I will tell you that I think I think it meets the criteria. Louisville vegan jerky. Have you ever had that? That's the best
No,
vegan thing I've ever
I'm gonna
had.
look this up right now. Louisville beef
Not
jerky. A
beef,
lot of
vegan.
these,
Louisville
sorry,
vegan jerky.
vegan jerky. A lot of the vegan jerky is sort of made out of wheat, but let's see here. Oh, this looks good.
I would say that and this is I reviewed that like 3 years ago. The Louisville vegan jerky Carolina barbecue flavor is the best fake meat thing I've ever eaten. And
Okay.
it doesn't matter to me whether it's not fake meat or whatever. It's delicious. Actually, all
Oh,
of their
hey,
products are delicious.
look at that. It is gluten free.
I'm
There you
happy
go.
to. I'm so happy I found at least one item uh,
Yeah, that's
for you.
great.
That one, but like that, you can get it. You can mail order it from them, and also it's available in a fair number of like the fancy grocery stores.
Sure.
And that the Carolina barbecue flavor is my favorite by far. Let me think of what else. The gluten free. The potato chips are not gluten free, are they?
They are. Yeah, they sometimes they're cooked in the same vat as other glutinous things, but typically most potato chips you find on the store shelf are gluten free.
Okay. Well, in that case, I should go across the board and say that in America, most of the potato chips and all of the cheese, I don't know what cheese curls may not be dairy free either, from hers, and I don't know whether it's pronounced hairs or hers,
Yeah.
HERR apostrophe S, in Pennsylvania are uniformly the best American. Now in Canada, and I would actually Canada has a huge galaxy of delicious potato chips that we don't have here at all.
Ketchup.
The
Ketchup flavored.
ketchup is very popular, also all dressed, which they do sell. Ruffles sells them in America. All dressed is basically a combination of kind of like a barbecue and a couple other different flavors, and it's the best flavor. Anyway, Humpty Dumpty Canadian potato chips, which I think are probably made from the Maritimes and like the Maine area. You can get them in Maine. Their all dressed
Hmm.
flavor is the best potato chip I've ever eaten. And
Okay.
there's dozens of other great potato chip flavors as well. Um, Let me also recommend one other thing that always gets ignored, and I don't know whether this will work for you, but the Manitoba honey dill sauce. I don't know whether that's one of the best things I've ever had. It's another one of those rare things that like I can't believe this. Everybody's not eating this all the time.
I'm looking at
It
it
is
right now.
and it's basically, and you can dip your vegan nuggets in it or whatever. It's basically literally described as a chicken nugget or chicken strip dipping sauce.
Yeah.
And it's only available in Manitoba for some reason, and made by this company called Gritalia. But it is the best dipping sauce that nobody's ever heard of, and I love it. It costs a little bit more to get it here from Amazon or
Sure.
whatever, order it, mail order. But Manitoba honey dill sauce is another thing. If it meets your criteria, it will delight your palate.
It looks pretty amazing, and it does seem to be kind of simple ingredients, so I think that would work quite well.
Good. All right. Well, this is working out well.
Yeah. Hey, I did not manage to stump you. Um, you can sort of ruminate on that. If others pop to your mind, feel free to speak on them. I do want to move on to what would be sort of the least healthiest, most delicious, and I'm thinking things like Scotch egg. I'm assuming you've probably had a Scotch egg at some point in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Um,
those.
so if you want to rattle off a few like things that are have zero sort of potential to be healthy or satiating, but are extremely delicious, I would love to hear those as well.
Well, one of them is the Bill Oakley sandwich, which anybody listening to this who would like to DM me on Instagram, I will send you the recipe. And it's basically a grilled ham and cheese sandwich with pickles and Duke's mayonnaise and Coleman's mustard, which is the secret ingredient. And that I make it at home all the time, and they only sell it. There's a place here in Portland that sells it once a year, and that's delicious and extremely unhealthy. I would also say something that people can make at home easily, and it's shockingly good, is a bologna, mustard, and peanut butter sandwich. That sounds atrocious, but it's apparently been something that people have been eating for about 100 years and hiding from the rest of us because it's so embarrassing, but it's so delicious.
Was that one of Elvis's favorites?
No, he liked the peanut butter and banana,
Okay, that's
as well
good.
as this one I haven't yet tried, which was I called the Fool's Gold sandwich, the one he flew to Colorado to get. That one is a French bread loaf hollowed out with a pound of bacon inside and peanut butter and jelly in it. And I gather it must have been delicious, or there wouldn't have gone to so much trouble to get it. And that is on my list of things to try. Fool's Gold sandwich. I think it's from a now defunct Colorado restaurant.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I could see that. It's if you get a little syrup on your bacon during breakfast, that's kind of a nice, sweet and salty taste. I could get that.
Yeah, I think that the future of weird food combinations is in the things that you would not normally put together, like peanut butter and mustard, that sound like they're from two different meals, or breakfast and lunch. And you're like, oh, that those don't go together, jelly and bacon, but they do. And that's like, I think that's the great unmined treasure trove of delicious foods that we have yet to discover.
That makes a lot of sense. Moving along, I'm curious what your awareness level is, or maybe your affiliation with the sort of foodie federation and the YouTube characters who I don't know, chicken or egg, who came first or who's emulating who, but there does seem to be like a Michael Keaton and Multiplicity effect where like more and more people are doing food reviews with less and less quality in the videos and less presentation, and it's becoming this mutating form of almost surrealist art. I'm curious if you're
I,
aware of
I
this,
am
if you
very
watch any of them.
I am, and I do watch some of them from time to time. I did not invent this genre. I am fairly late to the party. The genre was invented by Dame Drops, who is the undisputed king of this genre, who I believe, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago invented the idea of reviewing fast food in your car and putting it out there for people to see. And he has a show now. I mean, he's worked his way up to the star level of this. He has a show called Fried Fresh and Crispy. I believe that's what it's called on Netflix. So, and he's a very hilarious guy. And I've interacted with him a little bit. There's also Review Bra, and both of those guys have millions of followers on YouTube. And then there is a galaxy of people with lesser numbers and that I check out occasionally. But it seems like it exists mainly on YouTube. And that's one of the reasons I stick to Instagram, because there's no way I can compete with somebody who has 3 million followers on YouTube. But to my knowledge, I'm the only one doing this on Instagram, because Instagram is not meant for video. And and it's a struggle because honestly, it's the algorithm downvotes my videos because I'm posting videos instead of photographs. So I do get people, I get thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of people watching these videos, but it is like Instagram is meant for you to scroll quickly through photos, right? And when you stop on mine, you got to watch it for 59 seconds. That's the maximum video it will allow you. So all my videos are 59 seconds so that they, skirt that thing on Instagram. Anyway, so that's why I stick to Instagram. And yes, to answer your question, I'm well aware of at least, I guess I'd say, the top 15 or 20 people doing this on YouTube, but I don't try to wade into their territory.
Gotcha.
And also the Doughboys. I mean, the Doughboys are they have the podcast, and I would never want to wade into the podcast world either in this, because that's their territory, and they're the gods of the fast food and the food chain food podcast.
It's good you recognize that. It's you don't want to hone in on the mafia's turf. I think something bad could end up happening to you. You'll
Yeah.
end up
Also, well, I
in
don't.
a ditch with a fast food bag over your head or something.
Right, right.
Um, so I would say, in closing, more or less, I don't know if you've done a sort of Hudson Valley food tour, but I do think it's really probably one of the best destinations in the U.S. The James Beard Foundation is located here,
Oh
and
yeah.
you can kind of go town to town along the Hudson River and have some truly amazing sort of meals, and um, you know, I think it would be a worthwhile trip if
What
you.
are this? Are there what are the destinations in that area, or like the cities?
I would recommend. I mean, you could go all the way up to like, you know, Rochester or very
Hmm.
practically Canada, very far upstate. But I think if you just stick to, I would start at Hudson, which is about um, I would say about 3 hours from New York City. So you start in
Hmm.
Hudson there, and I would start at this place called Grayson, which has some of the best burgers you can have, and it is I believe, a refurbished sort of '50s diner, but a bit
Hmm.
more modern take on it. And they have fantastic burgers, grass fed, sort of local farmers, all that great stuff. Really great fries too. And then you can kind of work your way down. Uh, I'm not far from Beacon, which is another sort of bright spot. There's a lot of nice museums and stuff in Beacon, but there's some really, really good independent restaurants and chains. There's a great
Oh,
ramen
wow.
place. Tacos are really plentiful here as well. And for
Wow.
my money, as good a tacos as you can get outside of sort of, you know, uh, California and the West Coast, which I
Hmm.
always give a advantage to when it comes to sort of Mexican food and
Yeah. Yeah.
Tex-Mex cooking.
Hmm.
Um, and then you can kind of you can work your way down town to town and end your trip in, I would say, in Harlem, because there's just fantastic fried chicken, fantastic, like,
Oh, yeah.
so many good upcoming restaurants. And uh, if planned correctly, you could kind of take the Hudson line, the Amtrak, and kind of you know make stops and destinations. So that would be my recommendation to you.
That sounds great. I would love to try it. I'm so eager. There's so many places that since COVID, I haven't gone anywhere. There's a laundry list of places I'm dying to try, and they're also all far away because I live in Portland, Oregon, and
Hmm.
the nearest thing is nearest thing of any size is 3 hours away. That'd
Yeah.
be Seattle.
Uh, and if you did make the trip and you needed a ride, we have Uber here, so you'll be
Okay,
fine.
good, 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 good.
I'm kidding. I
Um,
would, of course, be your ambassador and shepherd you around.
Even
Uh,
better. All right.
but yeah, that would be my recommendation. I think. I mean, I'm biased, but I love it here, especially. Um, Angry Orchard, uh, the sort of cider makers. They have a little restaurant and the facilities here nearby.
Oh,
So
yeah,
there's a lot of
yeah.
great food, a lot of great wine, a lot of great beer, and I
Oh,
think New
cool.
York City gets far too much of the props for the gourmand, but this is a good location as well.
Excellent. I look forward to visiting.
Cool. Well, before we head out, do you want to let everybody know where to best find you? At Bill Oakley on Instagram.
It's that Bill Oakley on both
At Bill Oakley.
Instagram and Twitter. If and the Definitely take a look at my Instagram if you're interested in food. It's not just fast food, although I only make the videos about fast food. Generally, on my story, almost every day I have some sort of interesting snack food that someone has sent me or some investigation I've done of some other type of product. But it's all sorts of food there, including high-end fancy food sometimes. And then on Twitter, if you want to follow if you want to know about our next figure, our next site, the company, by the way, that makes sneaker snippers called Sight Gags. So go to Sight Gags Inc. on both Twitter and Instagram. And I believe within about 6 weeks, we're going to be announcing our second figure, which
Oh,
will
great.
again be sold on Kickstarter, and hopefully we will be just as successful or more as the first time.
Well, I think my audience of about 12 to 14 people will be very excited to hear this.
Hey, we only need
Um,
about 60 people to be able to make it worthwhile. So if they
Perfect.
all join in, we'll be in great shape.
I agree. Excellent. Well, I think that's pretty much everything. So thank you for your time. Oh, and do send me a mailing address so I can send you out some Night of the Slice action figures. I believe um, probably the only food themed action figure line out there, if not the best one, I would say.
Fantastic. All right, I'll send it right away.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. Much
All right.
appreciated.
Yeah, my
Thank you
pleasure.
for your
Nice to
call.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.